you guys. I am so sorry that I've taken so long to get back to you. Like you're just waiting with bated breath for me. Just kidding. But I do know that several of you have been asking, like, well, what's been going on with, your cancer and all that. And so I do apologize for kind of keeping you hanging. I will get to everything. Yes, but it's kind of been a bit of a merry-go-round. So don't get your hopes up for lots of great, like all the answers to my cancer situation. Nope. I've got my iced tea with the lemon in it. See the lemon? So delicious. You want to get something to drink while we spend some time together? So good. Okay, so I saw the doctor, I think the last time I left off with you guys. So I'm just gonna catch you up, okay? Gonna catch you up. And also in the process, sorry, there's some fuzzies in the air. In the process, just enjoy telling you some of, the things that have been going on in the meantime. So, if that makes any sense at all. Okay. Gosh, I just get excited when I get on the video. It's so good to know that I'm going to be connecting with a lot of you. So, anyway, Craig and I and Sarah, our daughter, got to go see the doctor at MD Anderson, and basically, in a long appointment, he told us, he just educated us all about lymphoma, and then he said, and really, as you know, your biopsy only told us that you have B-cell lymphoma. It didn't give us the information of what subtype it is, whether it's fast growing or slow growing. We have got to discover whether it's which one, because we can't just start throwing big heavy duty treatments at you if it's slow growing, because they don't necessarily work that well. And there's no sense in sending your body into, facing these hard things if it's not fast growing. So basically he said, so I want to give it a little time. So I ended up having to wait about 2 to 3 weeks. I can't remember, somewhere in there, to get another PET scan. And the reason he wanted to do PET scan was to see if there were any areas besides this bigger one on big lymph node that's got cancer in it. That's the one they biopsied last time, and he wanted to see if maybe he just wanted to make sure that before we did another biopsy, they were getting the best area of my body. Maybe some cancer had grown in new areas, and he would want to consider that. So I had to get a PET scan, and that took, as I said, 2 to 3 weeks to wait to do, and then a week to talk about the results, wait a week, and then he had told us before he was going to want to do a biopsy. So he said the PET scan did show that I had all these new areas of little lymph nodes that were showing cancer in them. And so he wanted to do the biopsy, but the biggest one still was this one on my neck. And so he said he still wasn't convinced that it was fast growing, even though there were all these new places, because they weren't big, they were just really small. And so I literally just got home from Houston from doing the biopsy yesterday. So see how all this is just dragging? So I don't know the results yet. Baby. So there's, again, I think maybe in the last video I was in this situation, maybe not, but with all this waiting, there's the positive and the negative. The negative, you understand immediately. Like, to have to wait on test results is one of the great challenges for any of us. We all understand that. But the positive side of it has been that I've been able to just keep living. Since my transplant, I was getting really into more of a full recovery when I found out the cancer was back. Well, I've been just continuing to live. I've been going to all sorts of social events, which are really fun, like different things like museum parties and let's see, what else? What did we just go to? Sporting event, maybe? I don't know, I can't remember. But different gatherings that I would not be able to go to if I had started treatment. So I've just been trying to enjoy that. I do feel like I feel the lymphoma, like I've said, with the sleepiness, sleepy spells. I just slept about an hour ago for 20 minutes. Had to set my alarm because it's late in the day. I didn't want to sleep too long, and I felt so much better after. So that is where I am. And they said, my doctor had told me it would take a few days to get the results. Well, the people who did my biopsy, they said it would take almost 2 weeks. So I have emailed my doctor and said, do you think it's a good idea to expedite the results? Because that's what they said. My biopsy people said, your doctor can put expedite on it and it'll be faster. And so I'm hoping he will do that, and we'll know by the end of the week. And I will do a Caring Bridge update, just a quick update on what the doctor has found and the plan based on that. Do pray that they are able to find in the samples the subtype, because they don't always find it. They got a more sample than they did the first time, but sometimes they can't find it. So that I don't know what we would do then. So that was that. So the deal was, and then he said, we basically told him we were going to be going to California instead of asking him and hoping he would go, oh no, that's a very bad idea, you can't do that. If he needed to say it, he would just tell us. But we told him we were going to be going to California, and was that okay? And he said yes. And so we flew straight from Houston to California, and we had a huge fun time in at an Airbnb and just swimming and having a blast. And it was just so amazing. It was so gorgeous. It was around Palm Springs in Indio, if you've heard of that, Indio. And it was just like, it was almost like when you first got HD TV, that's what the air was like. And so you saw everything in like this extra crisp, vivid. It's crazy. It's also kind of like down here in the South, especially in the Gulf Coast region. It's so humid, but when you get crisp October weather or crisp spring weather, it's like that. Suddenly you can see everything in more vivid detail. Anyway, it was beautiful, it was gorgeous, and it was like being on another planet. I swear, it was so different. It was desert and mountains, these brown mountains, and then the gorgeous palm trees everywhere and these beautiful flowers everywhere. It was so gorgeous. And then we went to Disney World, Disneyland, in California, and it was epic. It was hugely epic, and I also had to go through having my feelings hurt because I wasn't the favorite person to my grandchildren. And usually not, and and so it was so hard. I was having an identity crisis, and had to shift myself on that. But if you ever get to go to Disneyland, or I'm sure they have it in Disney World too, the Star Wars, it's a Star Wars ride. It's like you are actually in the movie. They have the stormtroopers, the bad guys, the real ones. They're in their getup, and you're part of the action. It's so exciting. You must go. And then after that, Craig and I got to drive with Hannah and Ben. We didn't have to just say all our goodbyes at once. We drove with them. They had to go to Las Vegas, so we drove there and we said our goodbyes there, and then we went on to the Grand Canyon. So, there is that sense of how much time do I have left? And so if we've gotten, in the vicinity of the Grand Canyon and these bucket list kind of things, let's do them. And so we went to see the Grand Canyon. We'd never seen it before. And did it live up to my dreams? I think so. That means no. Oh my gosh. I hadn't said this out loud. No, it's unbelievable. Like, just totally, utterly blows your mind. And the beauty of it is, yes, it's totally worth it. I think I was just surprised I expected one big, huge bowl, but it was more like, it's along a river. And so it goes on lengthways, and it's so deep, but it's not as wide as I expected, the big, huge bowl. So anyway, if you go to see it, be prepared for that. It was so gorgeous. Oh, I still, I was hoping for a spiritual experience, where God would just really, I'd see him face to face kind of a thing at the Grand Canyon. And I didn't. And I was kind of, dealing with the negative atmosphere that is in my brain. And just enjoying it, being grateful and enjoying it. And, but life just isn't perfect. And God has been meeting me with little glimpses of face-to-faces here and there. But I just didn't have a big moment at the Grand Canyon. So, so back to, the sense of, is my time limited? And, of course, everybody's time is limited. The one thing we all know, death and taxes, but when you start to look it in the face, it's different. It's weird. How much have I talked about this? I'm sorry, I forget. But I definitely feel like I am oddly, what is it? It's like I've stepped into a different compartment, like I got on a ride and no one else got on the ride. No one I know. They're all still on the normal ground, but I got on the ride, and now I'm being taken down this road that is where you have to think about death. So I've been talking to my family members about it and had some very differing responses. First, God just this was a face-to-face thing with God. And it was looking at his people. But he gave me and Lisa, my sister, and Jill, my sister, sorry. Do y'all get those little moths sometimes? Anyway, we had a chance to talk, and also with Tina and our niece, and we talked about, I'm like, can I go through this? Do I want to go through this again? This cancer treatment, just like, as hard as the last one that I did just a year and a half ago. And it's long, it takes a whole year out of your life. Already we've been at it for 2 months, so, just flies away. But the actual treatment part can be like 3 months, and then recovery 9 months. So anyway, we asked Dr. Nair, our doctor, we asked him, are there other options than this, terribly intense thing? And I told him I'm scared of doing CAR C-A-R T-cell therapy. And he said, it's reasonable that you would feel afraid. It's reasonable for you to feel afraid. So it's a big deal. And he said there are other options, but they are not curative. You're not having treatment to try for a cure. Whereas CAR T-cell therapy, you do have a chance for cure. So it's like 50% chance cure, 50% chance not cure. So anyway, with my family members, we talked about, well, I was like, I need to hear how y'all are feeling. I need some pushback. I need to help my neurons fire, because I felt so, just stuck and numb in trying to wrap my brain around, what am I facing? And so I had just wonderful help from them. I don't want you to suffer anymore. I don't want you to have to go through that terrible treatment. I don't want you to lose your hair another time. I don't want you to have to go through all this. But I could not live without you either. And then there's no way in hell you're not going to fight this thing. You are crucial to our family, and I know you have to suffer. You're the one who has to go through it, but we all need you, and we need to see how you're suffering with Jesus and all this stuff. And then I also got just some encouragement about, look, it's not the past, the treatments you had before, all that you went through. It's not that anymore. You need to leave it in the past and don't put it on this present thing you're going through now. And so I said, you're right. I mean, my father wasn't going to die while I was in the hospital this time. So I said, you're right. In the name of Jesus, the past is behind me. And anyway, it was very wonderful and encouraging and strengthening. And then Craig and I were able to talk with our own family, our kids. And it's very, very hard to talk about. Craig and my daughters, it's so hard for them to approach that subject. They're like, no, you can't do it. you can't die. You can't give in. Now, if they knew that I was just, I look great, right? Healthy. So if I was just emaciated and so ill and so sick already, and then I was going to try to do this thing and I didn't want to at all, they would not be talking like this. But they are honest that there's no talk about me dying, not in their minds. Like, no, and you need to not get that in your head. If you're gonna fight. So I always hated that word fight. Because the first time I went through cancer, remember, it was just like God carrying me like a baby. It was all baby imagery. My port was like the placenta to God. Sorry, it might sound so cheesy or so weird, but I just knew I just needed to surrender to what was happening, and He was going to carry me. And this has required so much fighting anyway. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry. People call me a bad. And I'm like, really? Me? So anyway, remember this here necklace Craig got me for Christmas because The Rock, he feels like reminds him of me, that I have been so strong and tough, and SEAL Team 6, he always calls me. And I like to think of the rock as God, my rock. And if I am strong, that's why. So, let's see. So I wanted to read you this really short little poem that I wrote. Do you know what a haiku is? A lot of people know what a haiku is because of VeggieTales. I think he wrote a haiku or something, but it's basically a really short poem with 3 lines. The first line has only 5 syllables, second line has 7, and the third line has 5 again. So 5, 7, 5. Okay? If you don't know, you're learning something really cool. Poetry. Haiku. And ideally, also, if you write one, in the second line, I think it's the second line, this is in my memory, you bring in nature. And then in the third line, something changes, something shifts in the poem, okay? So you ready? It's really short, so I'm going to read it slowly. And this is just has been thinking about all this stuff. Death's a gaping hole. Then I saw the Grand Canyon, and I rest in peace. That's it. So it doesn't have to rhyme. It's not supposed to, I don't think. I don't know. Death's a gaping hole. Then I saw the Grand Canyon, and I rest in peace. So the meaning of it, if you don't grasp anything from it, you know, obviously death's a gaping hole. So before me was just this, just like death, like what in the world is it? And how am I supposed to approach it? And, you know, if I am, and am I supposed to fight against it? But anyway, and then I saw the Grand Canyon, obviously, you know, I saw the Grand Canyon. But gazing on it, it was so massive. It just blows your mind. And it helped me to have a sense of infinity, or at least the vastness of God. And it helped me to remember that He holds my days, and that He, from Psalm 139, says that He has numbered my days. And so then I rest in peace. And you know, it's kind of a little play on words, because rest in peace, you know, but I don't want to die. It's just I'm resting in peace. So it's a little haiku I thought I'd share with you. Let's see. So I just basically wanted to share a few more things with you that have been helping me. There have been a million, and I have such a hard time gathering them through the month when I know I'm going to share with you, and they just like toss to the wind. Who knows where they went? But I've gathered a few, And so part of it has been writing poetry. My online writing group that I'm a part of, they did a poetry challenge where you write a poem a day in April. And so I mostly wrote haikus because they're short. And I would always forget until the end of the day when I'm going to bed. So I'd write a haiku. But it was fun to write haikus, and they're legit too. So that ministered to me. So what I want to say is that God uses beauty to lift us and remind us. He uses his word. He uses people. He uses beauty both in nature and in other forms, like a haiku. And he uses the sacraments and the church calendar, the things that we do as a community together. So Lent was very helpful for me to be going through Lent while I was going through all these questions about having cancer returning. So I did something called the Biola Lenten devotional. It's online, and it had, the last day of it was this past Saturday, but you could do it anytime. It's kind of Lenty like. I mean, like, they don't always do this, but most of the devotionals focused on the cross, and Jesus' teaching or his experiences around the time of the cross. That's how it was this year. It's not always like that, but so you could just go through, start at the beginning. You go to the Biola Lenten devotional website. It's easy to find if you just Google. And anyway, I recommend it. It's beautiful. It's multimedia, so they show you artwork every day and a poem that goes with the scripture for the day, and they have a devotional that a person writes too. And you can do, and there's a piece of music, so you can do as much or as little as you want to each day. So that really blessed me this year and has been helping me get through some stuff. And also, this book I told y'all about, Prayer in the Night, we finished it, and I just wanted to read a little bit in it, because just continuing to grapple with, well, how can I trust God if he lets bad things come upon me? And so I'm reading at the end. This is like the last couple of pages. And certainly the reality of the changeless love of God doesn't mean we always feel God's love or God's nearness. So I love how she's honest about that a lot throughout the book, because you can feel like a failure or less than not very spiritual person if when you're suffering, you're not on top of the world rejoicing in Jesus, No. It's not like that. That is not how Christians and the saints are supposed to go through and experience suffering. It's real suffering, just like Jesus' suffering was real. And it says God's love does not extinguish sorrow. And that's so hard, you know? But she says, instead of rescuing us from our vulnerability, God often calls us more deeply into it. So to believe we are profoundly loved means knowing that the disappointment and pain we encounter is not because we are being rejected or ignored by God. Tim Keller said, if we ask, why does God allow evil and suffering to continue? And we look at the cross of Jesus, we still do not know what the answer is. However, we know what the answer isn't. It can't be that he doesn't love us. So she says she is slowly stretching to believe this, that there is no shadow side of God. There is no hidden deception or darkness behind the God revealed in Jesus. The God we pray to is the God who loves us endlessly, relentlessly, patiently, and powerfully. I love all of that so much. And so she talks about throughout the whole book how there's darkness and light. And sometimes when we are in the darkness and we don't feel God and we think, well, I can't do it, I can't make it. That is so hard. And it has caused me to lean forward to our ultimate future and just to believe that God will sustain us. He will, even though it doesn't feel like it on some days. He is sustaining us, and he will bring us home to a beautiful future. This is the littlest thing, but it's just a little beauty thing. Look at this book that I came across. So I went to the library to get it. Look how pretty. So it's a book about lost words, and the lost words from nature. I don't know, it just made me so very, very happy. The word, let's see, so the fox, see the fox, look at that. And so, let's see. Look at him, he's so beautiful. But there are other words, we haven't lost the word fox. I'm not sure why they picked that one. But there's all this poetry in here. It's called The Lost Spells, like spelling. And look, let me show you what I bought. This one I got at the library. This one, look how big. Lost Words. And it has big, beautiful pictures like that. But it starts out with, do you love words? Listen, the words that are quietly fading away are acorn, adder, bluebell, bramble, conker, C-O-N-K-E-R, it's a kind of a bird, fern, heather, kingfisher, otter, raven, willow, wren, all of them gone. So this is a man who's trying to recapture and keep all those are goldfinches. If you remember my story recently about goldfinches, I couldn't believe they were so primarily featured on the front of the book. I somehow heard about the book and decided I wanted to get it because I love words and I love nature. And so it's just something that God is feeding me with. Just beauty, just open the book and there you are, something gorgeous. I just love nature. Look at that. So wherever you might be struggling, look for God. Look for God. He wants to be found. And then you find out that he's the one who was making you want to be found too. Look for him in others. Look for him in beauty, including nature and any kind of beauty, like in a library book. And what was the other thing? What was it? People. Oh, his word. His word. Yes. So I will leave you with Psalm 139, because I mentioned it as the psalm that says God has our days numbered. And what a comfort that is, huh? What a comfort that is. Because, when you go to the doctor and stuff, things can just feel out of control. Like it's just up to these doctors or whatever. So just never forget Psalm 139 is there for the taking. Oh Lord, listen how personal. You have searched me and known me. What? How fantastic is that? Known me. Searched me and known me. I think when I was younger and a kid, I thought that God the only reason he would look at me was to check on how I was doing, kind of the Santa Claus thing. He's checking to see if you're good or bad. But I didn't know he wanted to know me. And when I sit down and when I rise up, to discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. So amazing. But it doesn't mean he doesn't want us to say it. You hem me in. I picture like stitching. Hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is just too wonderful for me. It is so high, I can't even attain to it. And then it talks about his spirit being with us. Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? So anyway, it goes on. And darkness is not dark to you. It has a whole thing about darkness and light. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. I was going to stop, but it just is so amazing. Then it talks about God forming our inward parts in our mother's womb, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And there's so much more I'm skipping. But in your book, your eyes beheld my unformed substance. In your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. It's just beautiful. So I think that's it, guys. I love you all. I will try to give an update when we find out if they got what they needed in the samples for the subtype, and whether we have a plan. I will do either Caring Bridge, if you can go there and find me, or I'll do a short, brief video. Maybe some of you are not on Caring Bridge, and I would need to do that. But I'll also post it on Facebook and Instagram if I do an update, okay? Love you all so much. Go with God. Godspeed. We must cling. We must cling.